listening to your kids, not only hearing what they're saying, but listening to them. And that's a lesson that I learned from my one son.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to my podcast, Renew Motherhood. And I am Blanka Falk. I'm the host, and I've got a wonderful guest here, Jackie Tantillo. So grateful to have her on here. And this episode is about modern motherhood, breaking the rules we inherited. So, Jackie, I'd like to hand it over to you. Please briefly introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
Well, I live in the States. I live in the Northeast in New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan. And I am the mom of two boys in their young 20s. Have a wonderful husband. I have been working in radio since I was 17, 18 years old. And for some reason, well, I know why. My mom had the radio on. We had the radio on incessantly in our house growing up. And I fell in love with the power of the imagination. Listening to radio as a kid helped me be so creative in my mind. And I think I latched on to that and hit the ground running. So I worked in radio. I wanted to do voiceovers. I wanted to use my voice. I would go to bed at night listening to the radio. And here I am hosting a podcast called Should Have Listened to My Mother. Are you who you are today because of or in spite of your mom? I'm the youngest of 7, 6 girls and 1 boy. And, the stories go on and on and on from there.
Yes, right. So let's just hop into what's one parenting style you have adopted that's the complete opposite of how your parents raised you. Can you remember or do you know one?
Well, it's interesting because we were really lucky. I say we, the 7 kids. I think, God, first of all, as a mom, you're tired all the time. So the logical thinking kind of goes out the window, right? I mean, that's huge. But in stepping back when your children are older, or I see my siblings that have grandkids now, it's patience and listening to your kids, not only hearing what they're saying, but listening to them. And that's a lesson that I learned from my one son. My mom and dad were really great. And especially as the 7th, the youngest of all the kids, by the time I was, middle school, high school, I had a lot of freedom compared to my older siblings because, parents are learning the ropes of being a parent, right? We had lived overseas. The last 3 of the 7 kids were born overseas, and then we came back to the States. So, I'm maybe an exception to the rule because I got the really great side of my parents. I got to spend a lot of time with them and live with them on and off, depending on what I was doing in my career. But they really encouraged us to think on our own. They encouraged us to be good-hearted people. And that's generational, right? Well, there's a lot going on in the world now that seems to be missing that message. But it's those simple things in life. If you can get your children or guide your children into being good people and not just think about themselves. My mom used to say that about, what are you doing for others? I think that's a huge start. As far as answering your questions specifically, I don't know. They trusted us, and that was huge. So we had a lot of liberties. So my husband and I, we trusted our boys too. We had to trust that they would make those good decisions. And I think that's also a big part of it. And obviously conversations. That's one thing I probably would have loved to change, is having more open conversations, whether it was about, personal feminine hygiene things or, my mom never, I had to figure all that out on my own or for my sisters. They weren't very open that regard as far as, premarital sex and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't that open conversation. Do you like this boy? It was, don't have a boyfriend. You can have a boyfriend later. Go find out who you are and what you like and do your thing because you can figure the rest out later, which I really like that.
Yes, that's amazing.
I really like that. That advice probably sticks with me the most of a lot.
Yes.
Just figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
an
the rest
important
falls
thing.
into place. Yeah, you have to
But
be
sometimes
comfortable
you
in your
can't.
own skin.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't get your emotions aside.
Yes, absolutely. But I had 6 siblings to talk to about my emotions,
Great.
My 5 sisters were, my additional maternal figures as well in my life. I was very, very lucky. And still to this day.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever catch yourself saying or doing something and think, oh no, I've turned to my mother? So,
Yes, sure. All the time. My boys make fun of me. I mean, she was a health nut, as we used to say. So she was always doing alternative therapies and vitamins and nutrition from a very young age. So, whenever the boys were little and they were sick, they called me the remedy monster because I was always chasing them with homeopathic or anthroposophical remedies. But they're very healthy, they're very healthy. So my mom and my dad had some great sayings. And sometimes it could be in the middle of the night and I'll find myself laughing or I'll dream about one of them. And I mean, my dad, of course, it was always, what are all these lights? We had a pretty big house because of the 9 of us, but it's like, what are all these lights doing on? So I'm running around turning the lights off in our house now. My mom didn't sit very much. She was like perpetual motion, which was fantastic. She was so vibrant and alive. But it was really nice when she could finally just relax and not have to worry about the next meal or that, when we got older and we were all part of the process. It was really wonderful. We could just go hang out with her. She loved being in the water. She loved to swim. We grew up on the water as kids, and that was her piece. And I think a lot of us have that in us too.
that's so wonderful. Wow. So you're
Yeah,
a
very
lucky one
lucky.
with a childhood. And
Yeah,
even I think your parents have been really in front of the time
they
because
were.
if I look at my parents, no, they were sticking to traditions and old school, but with your homeopathic alternative
Yeah,
medicine, I had to figure out this on my own.
on your
So my
own.
parents didn't know anything about it and always say, okay, go to the doctor. No, has to be
Yeah,
another way.
she
But
Linda,
yeah,
my mom's name was Linda, and she's my inspiration every day, especially with my own podcast. But we got lucky, we got so lucky, and it's so much a part of it. I mean, even though both of our parents have passed, they are both so alive in our lives. They're so present in our lives. And it's wonderful because some of the grandkids have been able to, the older grandkids, um, they experienced both of my parents. And so they still are a huge presence to us. And that is telling in and of itself.
is there a generational cycle that you think you had to break? Can you remember, or would you say, no, there is nothing, everything was right?
Well, it's interesting. When you come from a large family, you never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, we grew up in a town where there were 15 children, 10 kids, 8 kids. So all of myself and my sister, we all matched our friends' grades, right? And we all kind
Oh,
of knew what was going on behind closed doors. But 3 of my sisters eloped, which my father, since we had 6 girls, I guess he was kind of happy. But, one of my sisters disappeared at 21 and we didn't know where she was. Turned out she had eloped. And then she wound up coming back to the family and they got married in the church, and which was important to my parents. Were Catholic. But that's another whole conversation. My mom was very forward thinking, and she, we could talk about that later. She was more broad-minded and open, but she believed in Christ. Put it that way. We'll leave it at
yes.
that for now. But she, so that we weren't this perfect, ideal family. You have a lot of kids.
Well,
You
see,
have stuff going on. Yeah. So but it were. I don't know. I'm telling you, we did some crazy stuff, all of us, but we never got into trouble. Right? We never got into serious trouble. Thank God. Knock on wood. And they were always there for us. They were always there for us. Our friends loved coming to our home and hanging out with us and having big dinners. And that's pretty telling. But a lot of our friends, we all did that. So there must have been something in the air, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, seems to. Oh, wow, that's so
Yeah.
great. So, hey, I was always thinking, okay, if there comes something from tradition and you just take this and go with it. So are you aware of what are you doing, or is this just
Oh, yeah.
unconscious going on? And
No,
when you think,
absolutely.
okay,
Tradition is really important, especially, well, not, we're all very, very close. We're all really close, like dangerously close at times. And I mean that in a great way. I mean, we'll talk every day, some of us, all the time. You know, whether a
oh,
sister,
great.
she lives overseas a couple of months out of the year, and holidays are a huge part of our lives. And it could be anywhere from 25 and up people. And even though I only have two children, when the other second generation get together, it is really important. I mean, my boys look forward to our family reunions. The gathering together and the cooking of all the different foods. I mean, the Christmas Eve was always the 7 fishes or whatever, 10 fishes, whatever we had. Familyness or love and togetherness was our parents' probably their biggest objective. That was always the key thing. Our friends would be calling, can you guys come out? And we'd be sitting at the dining room table till we wouldn't eat till 8, 9 o'clock at night because we had lived overseas. And it was the tradition in our house. Every night we sat together. We had lit candles on the table, fresh cut flowers we'd go steal from a neighbor's yard or somewhere. And it was a thing, and we all would talk. And my boys love that. And the nieces and nephews, everyone's in the kitchen. There's crazy music going on and the little kids are running around. And that is still part of all of us. We not only protect and stand up for one another, but we really love one another, and my husband loves being with my family. So I'm really, really lucky. I know this sounds like
Yes.
this crazy thing, but it's this glow, this energy that we have together. And I'm so fortunate. I'm really very fortunate.
I love this. I just can paint a
You
picture
have to
inside
come
my
visit.
head.
You'll have to come visit.
Yes, absolutely. I was asking you, Mom, why are we only two?
No, never.
Why don't we have any more
How come we don't have any
brothers
more?
or sisters?
And I wonder, I was like, gosh, that would have been so much fun to have 4 kids, or not even more than 4. Please, no. But, well, because I didn't get married till I was 36. My second son was born right after I turned 40. My husband traveled a lot, so he was away regularly. And it was great. We were so happy. It was 2 wonderful, healthy boys. We used our midwife, and they were born in our home. And we never even talked about, do we want to have more? It was just so seamless and effortless. And my husband and I are very much on the
Perfect.
same page. Yeah. So it never even came up. I mean, we understood. And my good friend has 3 boys. And, that's when you start getting outnumbered with the hands and the holding, crossing the street
Yes.
and the car. So, yeah, we kind of didn't even have to talk about it. We were very lucky.
Okay, so but sometimes kids come up with questions, and
Yeah.
especially if they see, okay, Mom has got so many siblings. Why are we just 2?
No, I don't.
But no, okay. If
Maybe
everything
I'll
is
ask them.
perfect,
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there were definitely times when things weren't perfect, but that we weren't going for perfect. But they've never asked. But maybe I will ask them. I'll say, Blanka asked me this question today. What is your response? They were
Yeah.
very busy. My boys were very busy. I mean, they were doing sports, and yeah, they had a ton of fun. Oh my gosh.
Yes, great. So do you think the way you were parented influenced your own struggles with self-care or boundaries as a mother?
Boundaries. What do you mean by boundaries? Like how I did or didn't raise my children?
Yes,
Or
or boundaries for yourself? not only for parenting, but because as a mother, you have to set some boundaries for yourself to stay healthy and to stay energized and to
I
take
never
some
thought of
self-care.
never again. It was
I can ask you something that you don't know.
I was just having so much fun. What was I going to do? My husband was away, totally made it work, right? It was just, and I would spend time because, well, my father-in-law died a week before our first son was born. And then my father
Oh,
died a month before our second son was born. So we
oh,
got two beautiful boys right after we both lost our dads. So you can't really complain. And it was a hard transition. And looking back, it was just this miracle. We were just blessed. We got this that, we lost one maternal figure, but we gained, we got two
another
boys,
one.
which was
Yeah.
really, we couldn't ask for anything more. So yes, I
But you
was
know,
totally,
if I talk to other mothers, a lot of them are struggling and saying, okay, I have my kids and I don't know where to place myself because everything goes into the children and I don't know how to deal with it. So it
oh,
seems very easy for you to say, no problem, I'm alone with my two boys and I can handle everything.
no,
How did you do this?
well, and I also worked part-time.
Look.
I worked part-time, but yes, there were definitely times I was totally exhausted. I was sick all the time. Whatever they got, I got, and then I would
Mm.
do voiceovers. So clearly remember walking into WABC radio in New York saying, oh my gosh, I have this terrible cold. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're sick again? But you're a mom. I also have my whole family, all my siblings, my mom still to help me, my friends. You have that support. And yes, they were always
Mhm.
saying, get a babysitter or you need to take naps when they nap or, I had that support all the
Yes.
time. But my boys are in their 20s now. So you forget, it's like that's why women have more babies because you forget you forget what birth delivery is like. So yes, I had all of that. I had people standing by me all the time and supporting me. I would go and visit my mom on the weekends. So maybe some other siblings would be there. So then maybe I could get a nap. And you just, for me, you just keep moving forward, right? You just keep
Right.
moving forward and it gets
But
easier.
this is important to say, okay, get a nap when your babies get a nap, when
Right.
your
But
babies
then
are
we're also
sleeping,
trying
because
to
so
clean
many
the
women
house.
don't know. Yeah.
Oh, right. We're trying to clean the house, check your emails. We didn't have all the intense cell phones when my boys were growing up. I mean, there were cell phones, but
Mm.
it wasn't a whole computer yet, really, maybe, or I didn't rely on it. But yeah, if you sleep when your baby sleeps, you're that much better a mom. But no,
Yeah.
what mom can do that? Not many. Or what moms do
Yeah.
that? Because being tired is a mom's worst enemy. It is. It affects you in so many ways. So, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's really, it's so hard being a mom. Oh my gosh. And to think, in this generation, we have all of this knowledge. We have all of this research. We've got all the books and the
Mhm.
technology and the diaper genies for the dirty diapers and the everything for the baby. My gosh, you could use a whole house full of baby stuff, right? And think of what the generations, the women that preceded us, basically had to deliver a baby in the farm field and then go back to work, or they have their baby strapped on their back even today in some countries, and they're out there working in the field. So we've learned so much, and the women that preceded us have given us the gift of teaching us. So we're getting off easy compared to what a lot of women that
But
preceded
you know
us.
what? Just if you mention this, that we've got everything nowadays, this also can be confusing for a lot of women, for a lot of mothers,
Oh,
to
it's
choose the right
terrible.
information. Because
It's
if someone
terrible.
gives the advice, do this, and another one gives the advice, do that, and you're in the middle and say, okay, what do I have to do now? Should I
Yeah,
follow here?
there's
Should I
too much.
follow there? What's the right way?
We have every gadget for everything, let alone the video cameras in every bedroom, every room, the bed that rotates the baby to rock them to sleep. I'm just trying to think of what the things that my nieces have. All the plastic stuff that we have that's not disposable or recyclable to raise a baby. My father would say, what do you need? You need a drawer. You know, he was put in the drawer of a dresser when he was born in 1913 or 1912.
Yes.
Times have changed. But a baby
Absolutely.
has certain needs, right? And you don't need all this stuff. But moms are also twice as busy. Moms are trying to do 2, 3, 4 times as much while still being a mom and maybe breastfeeding or not breastfeeding or doing the bottles, right? Moms are so preoccupied that they need all those gadgets to do what perhaps they would have been able to do, is sit and rock the baby and fall asleep with the baby in your arms, or fall asleep while the baby's nursing, or there's just too much static in the air.
Yes. Would you say, just if you just mentioned this, would you say that we as mothers should look more inside of ourselves than looking on the outside and getting everything that you can get to think that you are a better mom if you have got this, how do you call this, to rock the baby,
Right.
that it can fall asleep?
Yeah. Babe, I don't know.
Do we need this? Or is this...
Well, but isn't that interesting that those developments or ideas were created to make mom's life easier?
Yeah.
So she could go put the baby down, the machine will rock the baby, and she can go back to her desk. Or the pumping machines that you can strap on you now, and you can be on a conference call while you're pumping your milk. Or you can be walking around the house with these things, suction breastfeeding, pumps strapped to you while you can go do something else. Multitasking has been a woman's powerhouse, right? Women can multitask, or so we claim we can, or some like to claim.
Do you think it's healthy?
For who? The
for
mom or the baby?
For your mom?
I think it's too much. I think with all of these developments, and I might sound like an old lady, but with all of this progress, it's taking away from the connection with the baby, or the mom actually stopping doing everything else that she's doing and just being there in the moment with the baby. And it's going to be interesting. Will it have an effect on the children that are being raised with all of these attachments and things? I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV.
No, I just ask your opinion.
Yeah,
as a
this
mother.
is just my opinion. But boy, if you have a job, if you have a full-time job, which a majority of moms do, then those devices can be a lifesaver for you too, right?
If you're looking on the outside, and if you are, perceiving your environment from an outside perspective, that's interesting. In fact, I think it's very interesting to think about, where is our society going?
Well, and it's interesting.
What's the impact on the children?
What I would say to my boys, and remind myself, if your brain is all spinning and your heart is going crazy, you don't know which way to turn, which way to go. If you remove yourself and you look at the situation from up above, like say you're floating up above the table where this conversation's happening, or you're floating in the room above where this argument is happening, or, you're looking at it from up in the sky and from heaven looking down, you get and your emotion is removed. It's eliminated from the thought process. You get a clearer perspective. Moms are amazing. They do way, way too much. They're always trying to accomplish so much. And I think it takes a toll on us, right? I think it physically or emotionally, right? You're tired. Like, I have no memory anymore. I don't know if I can blame that on being a mom or my hormones, but it's terrible. Oh my gosh. But I think stepping away.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Nope. Stepping away or it's good. That's all.
Do you think that generation before us had it harder or easier when it came to raising kids?
I guess it's all relative to where you are, because you don't know what you have or don't have. My parents' generation, my older siblings, I mean, there's 12 or 13 years in age difference between myself and my older siblings. It was, I guess it also depends on financially how the
Mm-hmm.
family is structured, right? Finances have a lot to do with it. Political situation, environment in the world, during the Depression. Oh my gosh, what was that? Can you compare that to anything of what we experience
Mm-hmm.
now with high inflation rates? I mean, that all takes a toll on a family. We have so much now. We have so much more than generations before us had, you know, to to complain that we're not lucky enough or fortunate enough would be a shame. So we
Mm-hmm.
definitely have it easier than our generations before us.
Yeah, okay. So, what is one stereotype about motherhood from your parents' generation that you think need to break right now? Is there anything you like to think about or that comes up in your mind? Would you say, okay, this comes from previous generations and still is here, and if I had a magic wand, boom.
The only thing, and it definitely is generational, the only thing is, or I don't think it was just in my mom's case, is moms and daughters, fathers and sons talking more openly. And it could be a cultural thing too. I can remember my son sitting across the kitchen counter from me, and he was upset about something, and he's like, "You're not listening to me." I'm like, "I'm right here." I was literally 3.5 feet from him. And he kept saying, "You're not listening to me." And I was like, "I'm clearly listening to you because I'm responding to," but I wasn't hearing what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't acknowledging maybe the hurt that he was trying to express. Remember, he was maybe 10 or so, 12, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what sticks with me just from my experience as a mom. It still breaks my heart today that I didn't, perhaps did not respond. In my perspective, I didn't respond accurately or appropriately. But it would have been great to have, more conversations with my mom about relationships and personal things, or what a woman experiences. But she also never had anyone telling her either. So she, she didn't know.
How to do it.
Yeah, she
Yes.
didn't.
And I think this is really from our generation now, or from our society now, that this communication factor becomes more important, or we are aware of the importance of communicating.
Yeah. And I
So
think,
if
go
I'm
ahead.
having, I just had a conversation with my little one, and she was also saying something like, "You don't understand me." And I thought, oh, wow.
Oh, it's so hard. And you say, you
So
don't
with nine
understand
years
me.
old, and yeah, you don't understand me, what I'm
Mhm.
saying here. And I thought, oh, I think I do, but it's a vice versa, You have to find the right words to
Yeah.
really, yes, get
So
into
how do we
contact,
figure that out? How do we figure out?
heart to
Is it,
heart.
yeah. Is it,
I think it's more an openness from the inside, isn't it? To open
yeah.
your heart, to widen your heart more so that it resonates.
Or is it that our child is not, they're not mature enough or old enough to have the right words to express how they feel? Or could someone have them draw a drawing to express, because kids always express themselves with the dark colors or the crazy, right? They can
Yeah,
express
she
anger
does.
or
She
happiness,
does. That's
right?
great.
So is that
Absolutely.
part of the conversation? Do we go there, or is it just a mom saying, I'm obviously misunderstanding you. Can you explain that differently, say using two of your friends in a conversation? I don't know. How do we, we're the ones that aren't understanding clearly because they're not happy with our response. So how do
No,
we
right.
how do we get them to re-explain it? Or, we're missing something. And I don't want to miss something again is what it comes down to. I don't want to miss that again. An
Yeah.
opportunity to really understand.
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yes. this might be a good idea to say, okay, let's get some piece of paper and some colors and try to draw
I
it,
don't know.
try to paint it.
Or is it being out on a walk and being outside and talking about it better than in the house, in the kitchen, or wherever? It could be in the bathroom. It could be anywhere, right? That these things pop up. That's life. Sometimes removing yourself and going to a neutral territory or just being
Mm-hmm.
outside maybe can help express oneself better. I don't know.
So
Just
actually being in a move and talking whilst you're moving, right? This
yeah,
can
out for a
also bring
outside
up,
in the environment, outside,
yeah,
outside. I don't know, because if they come to us in that agitated state, that means that there's something going on, right? There's something they're unhappy with or that they can't express. And they're trying to get through our thick skull, and we're not getting it. Clearly,
but
we have
sometimes
a
I
thick
think,
skull.
okay, perhaps, yes, it's not that she's not expressing it the right way, but maybe my answers are not coming to her in the right way.
Yes, we're not
So it's my
responding.
communication, my
Right.
responding that has to be
I,
different so that
I don't know.
she knows, oh, mom is on my side. She knows what I'm
Right.
saying. She
Or at
she
least she's
understands that.
trying to understand me. At least she's trying to
Yeah,
understand me. And we both have to work at that communication together.
yeah,
Maybe. I don't know.
yeah, that's
If
it.
you figure it out, let me know.
Absolutely.
Because so much tension is things left unsaid or things that weren't cleared up. And that's a waste of
Right.
time. That could be a waste of years.
Yes. Yes. Always have a clean table after getting
Yeah.
in communication. So nothing is staying somewhere in the back and in the
Yeah.
dark and pops up in a moment where you're not aware of and you don't know where it comes from. And
Yeah.
just, yes, not being solved, something like a problem not being solved and comes up in a situation that has nothing to do with it, you
Or
know?
maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm not understanding clearly what you're trying to express. And maybe the hug can break the tension or something. I don't know. Because
Yeah.
sometimes two people are so agitated. I don't want a hug. What do I want a hug from you? I'm mad at you, right? So you gotta stay in it. Not maybe so anxious to resolve something and move on because we have other places to be and other things to do that we're hoping for a quick
Mhm.
hmm,
Yeah,
boy.
sometimes it takes time to stay in the
Right?
presence,
Sometimes you
and
have like
we
your
just look
watch.
at, okay, I've got 5 minutes, go.
Yes, yes. I think
It
that's a
doesn't work.
huge part of it, and it doesn't work. We
No.
should have talked 20 years ago, you and I, and we would have figured out this stuff.
Yeah, that would be great. Oh, so much to think about and to talk about
Yeah,
with you, Jackie. I'm so grateful that you are here, my guest on this
thank you.
podcast. But you are the host of your own podcast, and it
Hmm.
should have listened to my mother, right?
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
where can people listen to this show and reach out to you or get in contact with you if you
Sure,
like
you
to?
can find me if you Google should have listened to my mother. You can find us everywhere on every social media platform. My website is SHLTMM, short for should have listened to my mother.
Yeah,
SHLTMM Simplecast.com, because Simplecast hosts my site. And from there, you can email me. Also, message me on any of the social media platforms Instagram, Facebook,
that's
Twitter,
great.
all of them.
So you're
LinkedIn, did I say?
available.
Yeah. And, you know, are you who
Wonderful.
you are today because of or in spite of your mom? It's such an interesting conversation. You know, not all the moms got it right, but we're all here today as
Hmm.
humans. We all survived. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And yes, I always like to encourage to really to say, share one parenting rule your mom has given you that was really great So I like to say to all the listeners, share in the comments. Now think about one rule that was really great that
That's
you
good.
just like
And then we can all
it
share
out.
that and learn from that. Yep. It's really
Yeah,
important. And
right.
it could be
Right.
something really simple. So I love that idea. We learn from each other. We learn from each other. You could read a million books, but you still have to use your heart as far as being a mom. A friend of mine, I said, put the books down and start raising your baby, helping your baby by listening to your heart,
Right.
and talking to other moms and other wise people in the world, but you got to
Yes,
just
right.
start. It's the very personal journey. And what's right for
Absolutely. I
one
totally
is
agree.
not right for the other. So,
You have to figure out your own way.
yeah.
That's it. Wonderful.
Thank you. What fun. Thank you, Blanka.
Thank you for being my awesome guest. And to all the listeners here, please stay tuned and following the next episode.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.